Yes, we do have the Minister of Power, Works and Housing talking about his sector, taking a look at what exactly, where are we at the moment. Perhaps we should also ask you, people will always like to know, what do we expect? When do we have an idea of when is it that we'll expect stable power supply?
Again, if you're looking for an event, then it's not in the power sector, it's a journey. And that's why the roadmap which my ministry presented was to start from incremental power, which is what we are dealing with now, completing all of the power assets, Zungeru, Azura, Dadinkoa, Gurara, Kashimbila, Kaduna, Katsina windmill, and getting more coal, solar onto the grid and so on. That's the first step. And optimizing the capacity that I spoke to, about 12,000 megawatt. For example, what we've achieved, Ibom Power, Calabar and LLG, where there was about 700 to 900 megawatt stranded because the transmission line wasn't fixed. We finished that by completing the first part of the Ikotekpone switching station. So that's why you have now over 4,000 megawatt on the grid, even though the western axis is totally down with the ELPS pipeline. And while we are fixing and again continuing to do more, that's the first leg. Second leg is steady power. Now, you can't have steady power without a redundancy. You can't have a redundancy without actual measurement of the energy demand. Now, what is our actual energy need? It's been a matter of estimates. So, I am hopeful, and we're working with the Population Commission to take data for us on what people have installed in their homes and help us then provide data for computing our actual energy need. The best way to put that is this: if you have only one generator in your house and it breaks down, as some of these turbines do, you can't generate power with it while you are fixing. So you need some redundancy, and that's what happens all over the world. And from there we can get to uninterrupted power, which is a function of how you and I then behave. Traveling across this country every day, everywhere that we go, and your cameramen who accompany us have all of this footage. During the day, people have their security lights on at 9 a.m. I don't know what it is illuminating, but it suggests many things waste. It suggests that people are not paying for that energy. So conservation must become a way of life.
But if they're metered, they will have to bear the headache.
Yes, but even some who are metered, even in places like I drive behind the barracks in Lagos, Ikeja Cantonment, driving through Iyaolui and all of those streets. Sometimes they are metered, but they still switch it on anyway. So it's also a culture, a way of life, and these are parts of the things that the ministry is also addressing in our building code. Energy conservation, because what is wasted will never be enough.
What impact will we have if the government hands off transmission, for instance? And will that increase the efficiency for the distribution companies?
It is arguable, it is debatable, and you see, again, there is this assumption that government can never function. I disagree with that assumption. And I think that one of the things that I have always sought to prove in my foray into government is just to demonstrate that government can work. And is the mindset, is the attitude, and this is the attitude that we're seeing with the leadership that says, let's stay focused, Buhari or Shibaju. Look, listen, immediately after the president came into office, some things happened in the power industry, and we started saying it was his body language. It was truly his body language. Because some people just started behaving that, look, there's a new sheriff in town.
But afterwards,
that has fizzled away.
And they sustained that momentum until February 2016. Because from 2,690 megawatt, they got to 5,074 until the vandalism started. So, look, but back to your question. we have contracted private sector management for transmission. Manitoba. Don't forget that. So we already have an experience. But my own view is that if the two sectors, or the two ends of the value chain, distribution and generation, are still in transition, common sense just says, tarry a while, stabilize that. It's like trying to paint all the rooms in your house at one time without leaving a place for yourself to also adjust and get some daily chores going. You know, you won't be able to function. If you are painting the whole house, you keep one room and keep the kitchen going so that you can at least eat until they finish. That's my sense of it.
Now, just quickly though, pricing continues to be one area where, you know, it's like almost a no-go area. Consumers don't want to hear about it, and it's one area where discos feel, in fact, electricity companies believe that government is not doing enough in that area. They still believe they're being shortchanged. What precisely is going on with pricing?
Good question you ask. I think it is the real dividing line is trust between the discos and the consumers. And I say that in this sense. The cost of generating power by diesel, self-generation, today is over 60 naira per kilowatt hour. And Nigerians who still don't have access either to electricity at all, or who have access but is not efficient, prefer to do it themselves because they can see the power they are paying for. And I think it's a trust thing. But if you ask them to pay 29 naira, 25 to 29 naira, because again, there's a lot of education and communication that we're planning to do to inform people. The price from disco to disco is not the same. There are floors and there are ceilings. So, but if you ask them to pay 24, 26, I say, no, we don't see the power. And more importantly, metering, and that is a big concern for government. If I don't know how this cost is being calculated, I feel that, well, you're just taking my money for nothing. So metering is a big issue, and it is one of the issues we are going to address with the power sector recovery program. But again, let us look at the database upon which the privatization itself was conducted. And these are the issues that the power sector recovery program is trying to re-engineer backwards.
So that was faulty?
It has to be faulty, Chairman. 6 million consumers of electricity in the whole of Nigeria, 6 million households. Now let me tell you how faulty that can be. First of all, in 2006, we did a census. I was in government then as Chief of Staff, and we enumerated 4.5 million households in Lagos alone. Now, Lagos was returned with about 9 million population. That suggests, which was around the same population, disputed though it may be with Kano. So that suggests that Kano will also have about 4.5 million households if they have similar population. So 2 states in Nigeria already had 9 million households. Let us say that at least 50% do not have access to electricity. That leaves us with 4.5 million in 2 states. Then what happened in 34 states and FCT? That figure has to be wrong. So, even the amount that they are paying now may well turn out to be a commercial amount if we have 12 million people paying without having to increase. So we're working with National Bureau of Statistics. The DG and I, in fact, were still chatting on the phone very early this morning about some of the data they have and the plans they are there. And we're also working with National Population Commission. We're going to meet them, I think, this week or next week to see what we can quickly do in terms of getting a near precise energy audit. How many people are consuming electricity? And then what are they using? Because between then and now, so many people have all of these assets now, extra telephones, and that means extra energy.
It's a good thing you talk about households and how, you know, we might be more than we actually say that we are in terms of households in the country, which brings us to housing. You know, there's a huge deficit. We don't know how huge that deficit is. It's been placed at over, is it 1 million per year, which we're supposed to be building. That's the estimate that we have. But so far, it would seem that we